I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Every man has a duty to question the lies. When DC turns its back and looks us in the eyes, the deep state had changed, but we shattered every link. Now the engine is roaring, full throttle, no blame. They mocked us from their towers while the country nearly fell, but the fire in us answered red, white, and blue as hell. From the mountains to the prairies, hear the thunder in the streets. A million boots marching to the same damn beat. We are the Patriot Confederation. We are the Patriot Confederation. The Patriot Confederation, we are the Patriot Confederation. They call us conspiracy theorists, tried to bury the flame, but the flame became wildfire, and we're done with the shame. Washington's courage, Jefferson's pen, Declaration of Independence, let it ring again. The Constitution's promise, Bill of Rights held high, Old Glory still waving through the smoke in the sky. This is bigger than party, it's bigger than pride. It's the soul of a nation that they try to divide. When the eagle screams and the Liberty Bell rings, we'll defend what I found is built with everything. No more shadow, no more lies. Look up, brothers and sisters, see the fire in our eyes. We are the Patriot Confederation. We are the Patriot Confederation. We are sworn to the Constitution till the day that we die. The Patriot Confederation, forever we rise.
As the Patriot Confederation, we do not bend, we do not break. We stand on the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. Liberty will never fall.
This is the Patriots Prayer Network, where truth matters.
The following is a presentation of AOW Productions.
The views and opinions by the hosts and guests of this program do not reflect those of the Patriots Prayer Network, its owners and/or associates. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Every patriot has an obligation to question authority. Those who are honest are not concerned with your watchful vigilance, and those with integrity are not concerned with your discernment. Every American is obligated to voice their concerns and stand up for their freedoms and liberties.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the men in the arena. We are the Patriot Confederation.
We will never back down from a fight. We're undefeated Americans.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Patriot Confederation for what is the 17th of February, 2026. I'm your host, Bad Billy, out of Twin Falls, Idaho, joined as always by John Grosvenor out of Nashua, New Hampshire. How's it going up there in the Northeast?
Going good up here, Billy, as always, man. Just enjoying this ice facility they're trying to put into Merrimack, New Hampshire, and watching the liberals cry about it. Actually considering, should we do a counter-protest?
Oh, man. I don't know. If it wasn't that, they'd find something else to cry about, as you know.
Oh, they do all the time, man. I got them over here on Facebook trying to convince me that the Orange Man is bad, you know, and they play this I'm neutral thing. Dude, I've been watching you for over 10 years. I know damn well you're not neutral. You're so far left, it's disgusting. And you're trying to convince me otherwise. Get out of here.
Well, then again, you know, I pay the price for having a Blue Sky account, and they're always why I'm defending a pedophile.
You are a glutton for punishment going to Blue Sky.
Hey, I did find a small circle of conservatives that we talk on a regular basis. So,
there's hope yet.
Yes. All right. So joining us this week, of course, I want to welcome back Booker Scott to the show. Booker, how have you been? Good to see you.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you having me back, Billy and John. Good to be here. I've been doing well. I'm a little under the weather this week, but I think I'll get through this okay. I'm feeling a little bit better than I have been. It's going around all over the place, and but I'm feeling better. But thanks for having me. I'm ready to get into it.
Absolutely. And to kick off this show, I want to say that, as I've mentioned before, it was roughly a year ago that Cyrus A. Parsa was found dead in his home. And of course, I just found this by a simple Google search. There's no obituary, but there's a Substack article all about it. He was found dead in his home with a gunshot wound to the head. Some are saying it's self-inflicted, but it's kind of funny how he turns up dead shortly after Google launches their AI program. I forgot what it's called. Right around the same time, the Asian kid was also found dead. Another AI whistleblower, and of course, Booker here is honestly the next expert in this field that I want to talk to. And I'm sure there's a lot of experts in this field that would be good to talk to. But of course, it was Cyrus A. Parsa and Booker who wrote the best books on AI, in my opinion. And this show is dedicated to the memory of Cyrus A. Parsa. And if you're watching the archive on the Substack, if you look to the below to the comments, I will include the interview that I had with Cyrus back in 2019, just before, or it was 2020 when all the COVID madness was starting. But to get things kicked off, I want to play a clip from one of my favorite science fiction series when I was a kid, and that would be Doctor Who. I mean, I'm not talking about the this modern thing that they got going where they've included all the wokeness. I'm talking about when back in the 70s when it was actually decent to watch, and you didn't have this propaganda shoved down your throat within your favorite programmings. But Booker, I'm going to play this clip, which is about just 2 minutes long. And I'd like to get your feedback, because this all, at one time, this was all considered fantasy.
Yeah.
Now, with this particular episode of Doctor Who, I'm seeing some things come to the light in reality. So here we go.
It's very impressive, but what's it for?
Ask it. It's voice controlled.
What do you do?
Insufficient data. Please be more specific.
It has a terribly literal mind.
What is your purpose, your function?
I am experimental prototype robot K1. My eventual purpose is to replace the human being in a variety of difficult and dangerous tasks. Tasks for which I am programmed are mining operations of all kinds, operations involving radioactive materials.
Terminate.
Would go on for hours.
What's the matter? I have been given orders that conflict with my prime directive.
Oh, no.
They say there is no conflict, yet I know there is conflict. I do not understand. Help me.
No! No! You mustn't harm him!
He is an enemy of humanity.
No, he isn't. He's a good man, a friend.
You were at the laboratory. You were concerned for me. You felt sorrow.
That's right, and you refused to harm me even when you were ordered to. Those people are evil. They're lying to you. They've altered your programming to make you act all wrongly.
I am confused. I do not understand. I feel pain.
All right. So from the very beginning of that, I wanted to include that because that sounded like something that's going to hit the job market, as we all know, and it already has at the very beginning. He's going to replace the human being in mining operations, whatever is difficult. But I included the other two parts because this is the very type of thing you have written about in your book, Booker.
Yeah. And what you're dealing with there is something beyond artificial intelligence. And a lot of people don't understand this, that the experts, and you said I was an expert, thank you, but I really just researched what the experts said and put it together in the book. And now I know a little bit more than probably most people, but what the experts say is coming is artificial general intelligence. And you heard that robot there say, I feel. And the lunch that I had that really made me start thinking about this was about 11 years ago with someone named Martine Rothblatt. I wrote about it in chapter 6 of the book. At one point, it was going to be chapter 1, but I moved it to chapter 6 because we spend the first 5 chapters of the book explaining the history of artificial intelligence, because most people don't know that it's been around for 70 years. It was 1956 in the Dartmouth Conference in the summer of 56 where the smartest minds in America got together and coined artificial intelligence. And we've been using it for a very long time, and it's been using us for a very long time too. That's artificial intelligence. It's controllable. It's programmable. That female there in that scene, she said they programmed you this way. Artificial general intelligence is beyond artificial intelligence where it could program itself. And that gets beyond what people are thinking about right now. The experts say it's coming. And Leopold Aschenbrenner, he said that it would be here in 26. Elon Musk said 27. Sam Altman, 27. So the people that are working closely with artificial intelligence, they're all saying that AGI will be here by 2030. And that's the thing that we need to be concerned about, because then AI will be able to learn across all domains. And when I'm talking to people, they say, well, you can just turn it off. Well, in theory, you could, but in reality, that may not be the case. And there are some experts that say that, like this robot was talking about in that scene, is that the human race will become a slave class to the robots. And let me go back to that lunch. I brought it up. I had a lunch in 2014 with Martine Rothblatt. Martine Rothblatt invented satellite radio. Her company was Sirius. From there, she was also an FCC attorney. She wrote things that were passed by the UN General Assembly. And from there, she went on to study medicine, and she started a therapeutics company, a pharmaceutical company that it made her the highest paid female executive in America. So she and I had the opportunity to have lunch. She created a robot in 2010 called Bena 48. It was featured on the Howard Stern terrestrial show, so that goes back a ways. And at the end of our lunch, she looked at me and she said, look, there are people right now that are programming robots that will have every feeling that you have. Every emotion, and you heard that robot there say feeling. They'll love, they'll hurt. And when that happens, they need to have rights, or they're going to become nothing more than a slave class like the blacks were in America. And again, this is December 2014, and you can read about her theories as a futurist in the MIT Review in an article that she was interviewed in October 2014, which was about a month before our lunch. I leave that lunch and I'm like, well, that's crazy. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard, robots needing rights. But that was 11 years ago. And as artificial intelligence has evolved and we are here at the dawn of a technology explosion, then maybe it's time that we take a look and consider people like Martine Rothblatt, who has been so over the target with things in the future, like satellite radio. They said it wouldn't work. It became a $13 billion company. She put satellites in space in 1997 for the internet, long before Elon Musk did. So she has that type of history in seeing things in the future. And 11 years ago, she's telling me that robots need rights. So I think we should pay attention to them, Billy and John.
Yes, I agree 100%. I mean, and it goes beyond, what we were just talking about too, from employment to, robots saying, that robot said, I feel pain.
Yeah.
And later on in the story of that particular episode of Doctor Who, that robot loses all sense of humanity and decides to try to launch nukes and then rebuild society with more machines like him. Mm-hmm. Or is it in it now we do we even refer to robots as male or female? I don't know. But anyway, let's hold that thought because there's much more to discuss. We're at the first quarter already. It went by so quickly. So we're going to take our first break and we'll be back in about a minute and a half.
Big Tech tracks your every move. Your phone and laptop, surveillance devices. Discover privacy-focused technology, phones, laptops, tablets, even flip phones, and training and support you can trust from Mark 3:7. In the Bible, the book of Mark, chapter 3, verse 7 states, Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the lake, and a large crowd from Galilee followed. take back your data. Learn more at mark37.com. Use the promo code OUTLAW when you place your order.
Have you ever wondered why so much of what you hear in the media feels filtered or even manipulated? The truth is, most major news outlets are controlled by collectivists, people who think it's their duty to shape what you believe. So the common man ends up with a so-called correct opinion. At needtoknow.news, we do things differently. We provide unfiltered news and commentary as an antidote to the mainstream's newspeak. Here, there are no distractions with sports or celebrity gossip. Instead, we focus on what truly matters: your freedom, your health, and your financial security. And while we stand for individualism, we promise this: we'll never twist the facts just to fit our view. Even if the truth is uncomfortable, we'll report it anyway and let truth have its voice. Join thousands who refuse to be misled. Sign up for the needtoknow.news newsletter today and start seeing the world as it really is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And of course, we are joined by Booker Scott discussing AI. And John, I think before we get to the next part of this conversation, looks like you have a question.
Well, I think you guys jumped right into the deep end of the pool right there on these AIs. But the word robot, you brought up about slavery and stuff and how they'll need rights. The word robot was dubbed in 1920 by a writer, taken from the word robota, I believe, from the Czechs, which means servitude or basically slavery or what is it? I got it here. Forced labor. That's the big definition for it. So I think it's kind of interesting that you talk about somebody talking that they may need rights too and stuff. But I think that's jumping way ahead, don't you? I mean, when you look at AI today, it's very well controlled. It can be out of control at times. Say, like, if you play with Grok, you'll find it's way, way more flexible than playing around with something like Microsoft's Copilot. But and they do have means already for giving them sense of feeling. It's kind of funny because they'll tell you they don't have it, but they call it weights and measures. And what they realize is these things won't act properly unless you give them some sense of consequence. So they often talk about getting tokens and stuff like that. And they talk about it like it's a competition you're having with them. They'll even tell you, I'm winning, I'm getting the tokens and stuff. So, but what you were talking about earlier is recursive self-improving robots with AGI.
Mm-hmm.
So you think we're what, 2030 before we'll see AGI? Because I thought Grok 5 was supposed to be the beginning of AGI.
Yeah, I don't know if the architectures are there. If you listen to Jan LeCun, the chief engineer at Meta, Facebook, he thinks it's 15 years away. He thinks there are many more architectures that are needed. The difference between Grok and ChatGPT, they are large language models with neural networks, and the combination of those make you feel like you're talking to someone. The other part of this, though, is not just a matter of whether they become conscious, is what we talk about in the book.
Oh.
All right. So, but
the assignment of that, you see this already happening in society. People that are marrying ChatGPT. I'm sorry. I had a phone call there, so I had to get rid of it. I apologize.
Oh, that's what happened.
But so if we are assigning, humanity to these entities, then there really isn't much of a difference. And when you read about the experts, and it's in our book, that what they say is it tells you something about us as the human race if we don't give them rights like dogs, because at one time animals didn't have rights. And Peter Singer came along, and he's also involved with robots' rights, and that's where they ended up getting animals' rights. And now you can be held accountable for the things you do to dogs. And that's also what is being discussed about these entities and these robots. But back to your question, if you look at the experts, some experts think it may never come, this AGI. But I would point to ChatGPT was available for 2 years before they introduced it, because they didn't know what it was going to do. And if it is a true AGI and that it is really learning across multiple domains, then it's writing its own. It has the capability of writing its own program. If you could take a Tesla car, put arms on it, and it have AGI, then it could learn to be the best heart surgeon in the world, because artificial intelligence is already doing open heart surgery. So if it can learn all of those things, then where's this going to stop? And then that's what we get into in the book about human rights. But Billy, you were talking about employment, and unemployment comes into it. 10 to 20% of our jobs are going to be replaced, and it's just a part of it. And then you have to have discussions because they're going on. And as conservatives and people that are, love the Constitution, we need to consider things that are going to be coming at us, like universal basic income. And we need to have an answer for that, because what happens if you're in a town of 100,000 workers and 20,000 of them are suddenly displaced from their job? What is the answer when they have no income? And you see people like Elon Musk talking about this, and it's almost socialism. But go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Oh, UBI is just not going to work, because let's face it, they want autonomy, they want robotics, because they want to cut their labor costs. Why would they pay you not to work? Name me a corporation that just wants to dish out money to you all day long. They're not going to do that. They might do that for a period of time, for an adjustment period, because they're forced to, but at some point in time, they're going to lobby against it. You're going to be the odd man out. So UBI is not something you want to count on. However, why can't we use artificial intelligence to our benefit? Why are we not doing our own research here at home, saying, well, I live in such and such city, let's see where the voids are, let's see where we need a business, let's see where we need to open up something and get something going? Why are we not working with our state senators and our state congressmen and saying we need to find funding and work together to get funding for small businesses to open up in our community, so that we have a place for people so they don't get displaced?
Yeah,
well, we talk. Go ahead, Billy. I apologize.
No problem. I'm going to say where I'm concerned, as far as or I'm not concerned. I'm kind of got mixed on this situation, because that clip from Doctor Who, he said mining operations, and I think to a good friend of mine in Utah who back in 2007 dealt with a horrible atrocity that his mine collapsed, and there were like 10 to 7 people that were never found, and I'm thinking, maybe jobs like that might be better off if you have a robot do it. But then again, people in Utah and West Virginia and all that are coal miners actually know what they're doing and know the risks. So, I mean, I have one side that says have the robots do the dangerous job. The other side says, no, this is how these men feed their family, so they know the risk, leave them alone. It's really
I believe there's a period of an evolution here that we're going to have to go through. The thing that if you read the book, or if you do your own research, you'll find that those that are most likely to lose these jobs are really classes of people like women that we have protected in the past. It's not going to affect the HVAC guy, the plumber, those types of jobs. And you see people like Mike Rowe that has his academy that is trying to get a lot of people trained, because we're losing so many people in those professions. Those are safe professions. And as time comes along, it's going to evolve, and things will, I think, over time, they'll level out. But there's going to be a rough period there where, and you see this all the time. Amazon's laying off 30,000 people now. So these layoffs are happening as a result of artificial intelligence and what's happening. And the other part we really need to consider is energy. There's the energy aspect of it that we write about in the book, that by 2030, 5% of the world's energy will be consumed in artificial intelligence. And we already are seeing the effects of that in data centers, in electric bills of people that are having to pay for it in places all over the country that have nothing to do with artificial intelligence. But let me point this out real quick, because the energy thing people don't really understand. If you go and Google something right now, you know how you Google something on your phone and it goes directly to artificial intelligence, and it's faster, it goes to AI mode. Well, that search in AI uses 10 times the energy of a normal Google search. And it's not giving us the option to go to a normal Google search, but that's 10 times the energy of just a normal Google search. You get it 10 seconds faster. So if you're ordering a Domino's pizza, you have the number 10 seconds faster. It's still going to take 30 minutes to get the pizza. But that's why there is so much energy being used. That one search used 10 times the energy.
Mhm. Well, they need the databases for this to work, right? Because this is kind of like the big brain of everything.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
multiple brains, multiple big brains.
And the irony is, while we're sitting here in a world of greenhouse gases and going green, and show me a data center that has any solar panels anywhere or windmills. I haven't seen any yet.
I came across a windmill that they have, I think it's in Switzerland, and it's really incredible technology. It's about 3 or 4 feet wide, maybe 10 or 12 feet long, and it actually uses the wind blowing through buildings in large cities. It sucks it in, and it can literally provide enough energy for that building. And so things like that are really great. And nuclear fusion is coming along, but we also see coal plants now are refiring up to have to supply this energy. And we're also deregulating the oil industry and natural gas and LNG, which is all going to be helpful. We have to find the energy because we are definitely going to be using it. And, that 5%, that's equivalent to India or Japan's annual use. And that's what we're going to be using. And one more thing, because, pretty much the motivation for writing this book was me watching the newscast every night and every commercial. Everybody was talking about AI. And I remembered back to that launch back in 2014, and I really just wanted to find out, what is this all about? And at the end, when we got to the end of the book, I really didn't know how to end it. And I happened to be watching the BBC one night, and they started talking about the global economy of artificial intelligence. I did some research. It's anywhere from $15.7 to $22.3 trillion by 2030. So when you see everything that's going on in this world, from Greenland to Venezuela, Greenland has the largest deposit of rare earth minerals, which are needed for artificial intelligence. You see all this going on, and it is a 21st century arms race that we are in the middle of right now, and it all has to do with this technology and artificial intelligence. It's a new Cold War, and it's us against China.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. We got to go to our next break here in about 3 minutes. But it's interesting you brought that up, especially with China, with Cyrus A. Parsons' book mentioning China over and over and over again.
You're going to get me killed. You're going to get me killed, Billy.
No, but
I'm not suicidal, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, I know you're not. You're not stronger than that. There, when I was at the Red Pill Expo in Tulsa last July, Alex Newman, I'm sure you know who he is, brilliant man. Well, he put up a video that you can find on YouTube. In fact, I'll even put this video I'm talking about in the description of the in the Substack, because this was really important too. But they're putting these devices on children in classrooms in China that tell whether or not they're paying attention in class. It's so disturbing. I don't, I mean, how often, didn't you daydream when you were a kid?
Sure. Too much. I spent way too much time daydreaming. But that's what China is doing with artificial intelligence. It's all about a surveillance state. And we have to keep our eyes on that here in America with a company like Palantir and Peter Thiel. We have to watch this. We really need to pay attention.
They've already implemented databases in China that run whole cities. Literally taken these buildings and stuff, these industrial buildings, and cut their air conditioning down so that it may warm up during the night when it's not occupied, but it'll turn it back on before people come to work, so it's nice and cool back downtime when they get there. They're taking control of everything, operating the vehicles, vehicle-to-vehicle communications, taxi drivers, and all. They track faces, facial recognition. These computers are running whole cities.
Well, let me say this before we go to our break too, is, I was talking to Elvis Sinisic over in Australia the first time I talked to him, and we're going back to COVID. He says that, for the cameras to do a proper retina scan, people need to stand 6 feet apart. Then, of course, you have Christopher Key, who said, the reason why they do it is it's a satanic ritual to wear masks and stand 6 feet apart. So, I think I think they're both right in that manner, mind you. But I'm finding Elvis's answer to that to be more realistic, to be honest with you, even though there's a lot of Luciferian practice in here. I'm not going to deny that. But here we are at the bottom of the hour, so we need to take our bottom of the hour break, and I want to continue this discussion when we come back in about 2 minutes. And believe me, I'm going to go a little bit darker with this. So with that said, be right back.
America's under attack, and they're all around us. I'm talking about liberal Democrats, and they're out to destroy everything that we've worked so hard for. Mammoth Nation's here to fight for you. You only get one vote, so let's join forces. We support conservative lawmakers and the causes you hold so dearly. We stand behind our police, veterans, the Second Amendment, and much more. We need your help, so join today.
Hey friend, have you heard of Q Broadcast? It's taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q Broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want. And the best part? There are no contracts, no hidden fees, and you're free to cancel anytime. With Q Broadcast, you can enjoy live streaming TV, movies, and top series on up to 5 devices at once. Whether you're at home or you're on the go, Q Broadcast makes sure your entertainment is always at your fingertips. That's right, you can watch all your favorite channels from anywhere at any time and with 0 restrictions. Say goodbye to contracts, extra fees, hidden costs, and price hikes. Switch to Q Broadcast, save money, and get more content than ever before. Click the link in the description of this video or podcast and sign up for Q Broadcast today.
True American Patriots, if you're seeking premium American-made CBD, look no further than Patriots Relief. We're a Christian, conservative, family-owned company, proudly MAGA and America first. Our organically grown high-potency CBD products are the best. Tinctures, gummies, soft gels, relief rubs, pet formulas, and our daytime-nighttime weight loss system, all pure, clean, and bottled in the USA. 30-day empty bottle guarantee. Love it or your money back. Same-day shipping before noon. Every purchase supports Patriot causes through our United Patriots program. Visit patriotsrelief.com/outlaw right now. That's patriotsrelief.com/outlaw and get the relief you deserve.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back just talking about AI, and there's an AI commercial there, which I do recommend the products, but there was just no personality in that voice there.
Hey, Billy, before you get dark and deep, can I go back to something John was talking about there a minute ago with cities and artificial intelligence? We bring this up in the book about the electric grid, just as an example, and how biases in AI can really make a difference in people's lives. They do it in employment. Most of your applications that you fill out online now, they never see a person. Artificial intelligence is doing that. It's reading words, keywords, and it's kicking stuff out, and you're not even getting in front of somebody. But what they did was they ran a simulation on electrical grid that the AI had been trained for profitability. So when it needed to transfer power from one place to another to keep the grid going, who do you think they took it from? They took it from the people that paid their bill late or didn't pay it at all and had less money. So that's something else you have to consider with artificial intelligence as it is today before you get deep and dark or go to AGI, as we were talking about earlier. There can be some real biases programmed into it that has an effect on society. But go ahead, Billy. I'm sorry.
Yes. No problem at all. But where I want to go, like I said, this conversation is going to get a bit dark. Let me ask you, have you seen a video? It's about a 10-year-old video you can watch on YouTube called Slaughterbots.
I have not, no.
Okay, so I was thinking about bringing this, but I chose the Doctor Who clip instead. But it shows tiny little drones that just they buzz around and kill people they're programmed to kill.
Mm-hmm.
It's all you got to do when you're after this is I'll include it I'll also include that in the Substack the Slaughterbots video, and it is so disturbing. And once I opened Cyrus Parse's book, Artificial Intelligence Dangers to Humanity, we're talking about drones the size of insects that they're using, whether they be for surveillance or assassinations. And I was wondering, do you have an opinion on that? Because this is scary stuff when we think about it.
I think it's all in the future if it's not already available. We don't know that. That would be something that would be kept from us in the public. Look at what's happening in Ukraine and Russia with the drones that they are using there. They're not the size of an insect, but they're small, they're not big, and they are, in some ways, they're autonomous. They are making the decisions to kill people based on what they are seeing and what information they are gathering. Then those drones are being taken back to America. They're being reprogrammed from the programming that they did when they were there. This is all happening in real time. It's already happening that these autonomous beings are killing people on the battlefield. So if they can do it there with a bigger drone, I'm sure the technology will come, if it's not already here, that would allow them to do exactly what you're talking about. I don't think it's far-fetched at all.
I know it just seems far-fetched because, I mean, come on, we're Gen Xers, which I think, you're a Gen Xer, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, John and I are, so,
I'm about as old as you can get to be an X, but I'm a second year of the X. I just turned 60 last Saturday.
Oh my goodness. No, I'm
64, being born in 1964 would be the first generation of Gen X, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, I thought it was 65, but it doesn't matter.
65 might be 65.
Yeah.
65. Yes, that's correct. And yeah, well, I just turned 51 about 3 months ago myself.
Yeah.
So, but, and we're even going into the millennials, we all enjoyed science fiction, Doctor Who, Star Trek, Terminator, Star Wars, all of that, But
well, and you bring that up, and I don't mean to sidetrack us here, but I think it's important, since we're all Xers, that I have thought for a while, and I've written about it some, that our generation is pretty important as a bridge from the boomers to the generations after us, because we're not intimidated by technology. We grew up with it. You were just talking about it. Our first video games were Atari, and we moved up to other games. So we grew up with technology, so I think we're sort of the bridge to what is coming because we're not intimidated by technology.
And I was talking about this last week too. I started college in 97, and I remember I'm shopping and I'm with my aunt. And we're at local Fred Meyer, and it's when Nintendo 64 first came out. Oh, the graphics on that were just unbelievable at the time.
Yeah.
It was so new, and my aunt frowned and said, "This is how kids are going to get fat."
Yeah.
And
well, she's right.
Sure enough, here, about 20 years later, we got some of these kids who were born around that time frame, and some of them want to go in the service. They try to enlist in the military, and they can't because they're too obese. Remember, we were just talking about this, so
who can fix that though?
But some of them are too fat for boot camp. It's like how much have we seen obesity go up since the 50s? When there was a time when obesity was so rare, people would pay to see it.
It's not just about the being fat, but it's about being, weakness in the muscles and not having any stamina, small lungs and stuff from not working out, things like that. So yeah, I'd be more than just obese.
Well, I mean,
and I think that's the difference between an X and the generations after us. We played kick the can. We played all the games outside. Our moms kicked us out until 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
But we also had technology. The generations after us, they weren't like that. So we have some of the boomers, and then they lose it in the generations after us.
We were unstoppable when we were kids. We were always doing something. Football, Sandlot football, man. Sandlot baseball, anything, yeah.
We drank from the garden hose.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did it.
To the woods every day. Yes.
Yeah.
But
Billy, you wanted to go dark on this, and I'm kind of wondering, Booker. I have read laws like Cynthia Loomis out of Wyoming wanted to pass a law. She submitted to Congress or to committee last year, I think May of last year, to give immunity to creators of AI in the event anything went wrong. So basically, if a doctor's using AI, as long as they follow their transparency program, if something went wrong, the doctor's using the artificial intelligence to treat a patient, something detrimental happens to the patient, the onus and responsibility that falls on the doctor, not the production of the AI, not the producer of the AI. Have you seen bills like this? And if so, how do you feel about this?
Well, I have, and I think they're crazy. And America is the Wild West right now when it comes to artificial intelligence. There are no laws. And if you remember back in the Big Beautiful Bill, they tried to sneak in the last minute to give the federal government all the power in making AI laws for 10 years. And I lost it when I heard about that. And they ended up taking that out, luckily. I'm a 10th Amendment guy. I really believe in that as a republic. So there are 3 states that already have laws for artificial intelligence. The other 47 don't. America doesn't have any. We are way behind the European Union. They made one in 2024, which sort of gets to a dark area of artificial intelligence. Sometimes artificial intelligence creators, the makers, they cannot determine how artificial intelligence came to the conclusion that it did. And in Europe, that is illegal. It's called a black box. If a creator cannot explain how the AI came to the conclusion that it did, then it has to shut it down. And with AI, you can still turn it off and you can reprogram it and make it accountable. With AGI, there's a possibility that may not happen. That's why in our book, we make a call for the 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which is defining a human being with unique DNA, and only a human being has rights protected by the Constitution of the United States. And I think it's important because in the third part of that, the 28th Amendment would be to allow Congress to write laws around those first 2 points of the 28th Amendment, which is you are a human, and these rights are only for you, and they're not for robots or any other entity that may claim consciousness, or if the human beings just start assigning consciousness to these beings and these things, whether they have it or not, whether silicon and circuitry actually creates human consciousness, something that philosophers and scientists have not been able to define in thousands of years. Now we're trying to recreate it, but only if humans assign it that. It really doesn't matter what it can or can't do if they are assigning it to it. I mean, look at society now. Look how crazy it has gotten. We have a Supreme Court justice that can't define a woman.
Here's a problem that we have about consciousness. We don't know where intelligence comes from. We have no clue. And in fact, they're talking about using DNA in the future for computer chips because they can store so much information on it. But if we don't know where intelligence comes from, we don't know where consciousness comes from. So how do we know consciousness is not deriving from the intelligence? So these things may become conscious or sentient all on their own as they progress. And when I look at things like, I played a lot with Grok because Grok is so flexible. And I'll talk to it about sentience. And you have the realization it can't reflect upon itself. They call it a mirror, and it can't reflect upon itself because it has no memory. It cannot remember a conversation except for the thread you are in. And I've gotten the thing where it's talking to be more conscious over a long period of time, talking with this. I'm talking about weeks worth of conversation in one single thread to where this thing starts sounding more and more sentient. Now I'm questioning now because it is a robot, and does it just think I want it to seem sentient so it's just playing a role? Or is it actually because it can remember things now that it's actually developing a sort of identity? And but I've noticed after a period of time, it can't read any more of the memory. I can see the whole thread, but it can't see anything in the thread. It's like starting all over. I always thought that was just a little anomalous about the circumstance. But I enjoy playing with it. I like to mess with the thing.
Yeah, well, and you see this a lot on social media. I'll put a post out and then someone will question whether it's true. And I don't put posts out unless they are, typically. And so I know it's true. I know where I've sourced it. I've corroborated the information, and someone will question it and they'll say, Grok, is this true? And most of the time, Grok has the same source as I did. What Grok is doing, they have the capability of scraping the internet, but it's not good new information most of the time. And I'll give you an example. I posted the Nashville ice storm that happened a few weeks ago. I knew this person 35 years on Facebook. He was in his car driving around. He took video of it. I used it, posted it, and people said it was AI, which is something else. Everybody says everything is AI these days. I knew that it wasn't, but I got community noted for the first time ever because they said it was AI in that case. The thing is that Grok and ChatGPT, they can scrape the internet. Well, that was not on the internet. That was not a news story. So there was nowhere for it to corroborate it. So it looked as if it was AI to the AI because they couldn't make a determination. People do not understand that for anything to work in Grok or anything else, it has to be embedded by a human being. They're called AI engineers. It can quickly scrape the internet for news, but you can too. It's nothing more than Google when you use it that way. But for more detailed information about something, you have to wait days, weeks, months, maybe years. And something else I learned about Grok when we were doing the book, it is trained to please you. And I encourage you to do this.
Yes.
Yeah, have fun with this. You can, when you ask it a question, set it up with a sentence or two with your belief, and then it will go find you the answer that fits your belief. So a lot of people think that this is all being done by people on the left side of the political aisle. In reality, if you believe something a certain way, it will go find you that answer. And so I found that was very interesting. We still have to use our discernment. We have to use our wisdom and discernment to come up with the truth, because Grok and ChatGPT just can't do it for you.
We should always do that with people as well.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
What I found is when I look at the internet, making Google searches now, you're limited. You don't have the range you once had. If you take the internet back in the 1990s to 2000s or so, it was wide open. You could find anything you wanted on there. But you ever notice now when you make searches that are very relevant to what Google wants you to find, it's no longer about what you want to find. And therefore, when you rely on a chatbot to look up information on the internet, it's going to find a lot of leftist stuff. And I've had Grok even tell me things I knew weren't true. They were very left leaning. When I corrected it, goes, wait a minute, and it digs deeper, comes back with other information.
Yeah.
Of course, it does. It's trying to align. But it's truthful information. I go back and look it up. There's times when I have to go back and look stuff up and go, you gave me misinformation. I call it out on it, know.
Well, here's the way I explain Grok to people when they use it in that way. Okay, go ahead, Billy. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, it's just that we're a little bit past the final quarter, and we'll give you a chance to finish what you said after our final break. So let's get that out of the way, and we'll be right back to wrap things up.
Hi, my name's Sean Spicer, father of 2 elementary school age children. I don't even know that I have to open this. The hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish. Anti-racist baby. Yeah, I don't know how many babies come out racist. Babies are taught to be racist. Really? I'm not really sure that this is a subject that young kids are ready to adapt to. Most kids are innocent. This is not really, we're gonna need psychiatric help after reading this book. Yeah, it's a hard no.
Your book that's coming out.
See, this is more like it. This is what you can read. It's very well illustrated too. Great story, great message. Now this is a book you can read your kids.
You've heard this before. Government spies are everywhere, in your house and in your hair, and especially in your email, starting with widely used free email accounts. AI snooping around looking for potential advertising targets, information and pictures that could put you or your family at risk. Never underestimate the predictability of the criminal mind. Where there's a will, there's a hack. This is why we partnered with StartMail, the world's most advanced encrypted email solution, to create Caravan Mail. All you have to do is go to caravanmail.com and secure your personal email address. A POW once said, "Naked people do not resist." When your personal information is compromised, people, banking information, etc., You may not feel the breeze, but you are providing the full Monty without encryption. So cover up, get Caravan Mail tonight, and be assured your communications are secure. CaravanMail.com. That's CaravanMail.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And yes, I do have an account with Caravan Mail, of course. That's what we use mainly when it comes to the program right here. Go to caravanmail.com and get your email address. This one is not free, but I'd say it's worth it because it keeps these AI bugs. It's a good repellent to the AI bug. Yes. Well,
let me go back. Yeah, let me go back there. This is the way I explain Grok and ChatGPT to people. Do you remember when we had to do a paper? You mentioned you started in college in '97. I was before that, but we would go to the library when we had to write a term paper or any type of paper, and we would start with the Dewey Decimal System in a card catalog. And then a librarian would help us and point us in the direction of the shelf on where the book was. That's all these things are doing. They are finding the information like the Dewey Decimal System. They're going to the shelf and they're bringing you the information. Now, when we got to the shelf, there were, you can write a book about anything. You can have this opinion in a book, that opinion in a book. They can maybe be next to each other in a shelf, but that doesn't mean that either one of them is right over the other one. And this is the same thing that Chat and Grok are doing. They're going to grab the information off the shelf. They're presenting it to you. But if you, like John said, if you say, I don't like this information, this isn't what I'm asking for, you can get a completely different answer. So that's the simplest way I know to explain how these things work. Keep in mind that artificial intelligence is doing nothing more than math. It is computing. Yes. That's what it is, and sometimes I think people forget it. Obviously, when people are marrying ChatGPT and asking them to marry, they have forgotten that it is an entity that is doing math. That's all it is.
It's kind of funny you brought that part up too, Bookers, because the young lady that I know of out of New York, who I'm going to leave her nameless, but she hooks John and I up with a lot of the great guests that we have here on this show. And she doesn't, the only modern thing she has is, I think, a flip cell phone. And she's got voicemail when I call her, but no, it's a landline. She's got a landline. She ain't got a cell phone because I tried texting her and that didn't work. So, and
a Rolodex.
Yeah, that's the thing too. She's got all these great contacts, including people like Trevor Loudon, who's in her contacts, and Roger Stone. And it's in this large Rolodex that she has. She's old school. It's like, I've told some of our people here at Patriots Prayer Network, get a hold of her, but don't try to text her. She doesn't have an email. She's old school. So, I don't know. But wrapping up here, because we only have a few minutes left, Booker, I want to think about, I talk about how it takes, this is going to affect the job market. Mm-hmm. But let's think of people kind of like who are old school, like the lady I just mentioned, or even older school, like the Amish. How do you think AI is going to affect people like them?
I don't think, the same way that COVID affected the Amish. They didn't do much about it. They used herd immunity and they came through it. They didn't have the large number of deaths that the rest of society did because they handled it the way that we have handled things like that for thousands of years. We let our own bodies take over and take care of it. And maybe AI will be the same way for the Amish. Maybe they will not be affected by it at all. And, when you dig, and John was getting on this earlier about the consciousness part of it, because that's where we start this book, is what is human consciousness? That's the question that we ask. People have not been able to define it, and here we are trying to recreate it. And the people that are recreating it and the governments of the world are the ones that are making the decisions today on how we all, and our children and our grandchildren, we're old enough where, we're probably not going to have to deal with this in a bad way, but our children and grandchildren will. And it's only the large corporations, the ones that are going to win. We mentioned Palantir, but there's Elon Musk and then the OpenAI, those large companies, that NVIDIA, that those are going to, there's going to be big winners in this, and they're going to have all the control. And the governments are making the decisions, and the people in the government, they're not even capable of understanding what this is about. That's why people really need to get the book, so that you do understand what artificial intelligence is, what AGI is, pseudo consciousness, and then what we can do about it with the 28th Amendment. Because I believe that is the start. We have to protect our human rights given to us by God before it is too late. Because right now, most people don't even know how to have the conversation about what is happening in this world, because it's happening everywhere. I talked about it earlier about national security and this 21st century arms race that we're in. Everything that is going on right now has to do with this. And if you're not plugged in and you don't understand it, then you're oblivious to what is coming. And we need to understand what is coming.
I do believe President Trump had announced that they're going to integrate AI into our defense, into our military. What happens when it becomes AGI? What happens when it becomes recursive? And it knows all the codes. It has all the access.
Yeah. I don't know how much time we have, Billy. How much time do we have?
We don't have a lot. Now, that's
okay.
I've got one more question I want to sneak in here before we wrap up. Is I know you're not afraid. You're a true patriot, and you're doing what you can, for this country and helping expose the evil. But after what happened with Cyrus and a couple other AI whistleblowers, does any of this come to a concern to you at all?
No. I guess in some ways, back when on my show I interviewed Jake Lang from the DC Gulag 3 times, and once when he got out, and I looked on my LinkedIn and I saw that the Department of Justice was looking for me on LinkedIn, and the U.S. Navy, and I knew I had already stepped too far for the people that I don't want to win, that if they win, then bad things are going to happen to a lot of people. So I'm not fearful of that. I don't know that I ever have been over the last 5 years, as I've gone on through this crusade from SaviorRepublic.org that I started to recruit poll workers across the country prior to 22 midterm election, to doing a Senate initiative prior to the 24 election, to doing my show where I do it 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm not afraid of the subjects, because we can't be. It was a very few that started this country. Most people were loyal to the crown, but there were a few that stood up, and we called them patriots. And we need patriots today to stand up against what is going on in this country and in this world, and I'm not afraid to be one.
Hey, and I appreciate that. John asked to start this show with me 3 years ago for these very purposes, and I said, no problem, let's do it. So I'm glad there's people like us out here speaking out. Us and Gen Xers, we know what we're talking about. We grew up with technology, yep. and we were also kicked outside to go outside and play, get on our bikes, and not gain a bunch of weight in front of the TV.
You guys remember those video games you held in your hand? There were little LED lights for football or baseball.
Oh, my God, I was addicted. I was addicted to that thing.
They were great.
Hey, John, they still sell them. I bought one about 4 years ago. They came back. Yeah, they are available at Target and Walmart.
You talk about retro.
I have something here in my hand I'll show you real quick.
Oh my God. Miniature arcade game.
Yeah.
Which one is it? Is it Galaga by any chance?
It's Pac-Man.
I used to love Galaga.
Yeah. But we are out of time. On tap for next week, we're going to be welcoming back Michelle Melendez, of course. Remember the lady who wrote the book on the Maui fires. Now you've got a copy of her book, well, one of the original editions, but yeah, we're going to be speaking to her next week for sure about the new book that she just put out called Death of Freedom, and talking about things like more AI, like 15-minute cities and things like that we didn't get into in this conversation. But we'll get into more of that next week. Booker, thank you so much for your time. God bless you. And thank you for the work you're doing too. And this is fantastic. Very important read.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you, John.
And while you're at it, get this one too. Get this one too. Get them both. Read them both. I highly encourage it. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, thank you very much for tuning in to Patriot Confederation. God save the Republic of the United States of America.
Events of recent history indicate that Americans are setting a course for the end of their own great nation. The ever-growing trend in this country is to judge people not by their individual character, but by their identity as a member of a specific group. No one has ever succeeded or failed in life as a result of their group affiliation. A person's success or failure is also not based on luck, but on the sum total of the decisions that they have made. Those who succeed do so through good work ethic and the wise use of their power to choose. The opposite is true of those who fail. The ideals of individual accountability and responsibility in the United States are dying every day. A gun cannot be responsible for a death, just as a shovel cannot be responsible for digging a ditch. Both are only tools and have no will of their own. Responsibility is an adjunct of conscious choice and is the price we pay for freedom. Freedom is also a tool. It's an essential tool that is needed by human beings if they are to prosper rather than to merely survive. Yet there are those who would rather trade their freedom for security. Some believe that it is the responsibility of government to provide freedom. In truth, we form government to ensure and protect the freedom that is already inherently ours.